I decided to run for Township Committee not because I want to be a politician. I don't have a burning desire to be in politics. I decided to run for Township Committee because I have a vested interest in this town. There's 4 generations of my family who currently live in West Deptford, from my young family to my grandparents who are both here tonight. I have a vested interest in this town. West Deptford is a town that I love. It's a town that I feel strongly about, I have confidence in, but I do recognize that it's a town that's at a crossroads, and it needs new leadership, and it needs a new direction. And I feel strongly that Denice and I, we're the leaders this town needs, and we're going to take it in the direction that it needs to go to keep it the town that I love, that I grew up in, and that my family can grow up in, that my grandparents can afford, and that other people like me can do the same thing.
Again, I think it starts with my love of the town and the fact that, this is where my husband John and I have chose to raise our children. So that came first and foremost. But for those of you who don't know, I was on the school board for the past 3 years. And having a service, I actually got a lot out of it, I have to be honest with you. And I quickly found that there's not many people who will volunteer for those types of jobs. So a lot of it was about knowing that I had a service to provide and what I sort of got back and the impact I could make on that. So that's why I decided to run, is because I kind of saw the financial conditions that were before us, and I knew that I wanted somebody with strong financial background to lead us through these times. So that's the main reason why I decided to run. I think if you've read our literature, you know that one of the areas that we're looking to do is we're looking to raise the industrial ratables within the township right now. So we think that there's a lot of development that Hunter and I think we can come in and we can figure out how businesses can come in to help lower that tax rate. I think the other thing too is we do bring a private sector feeling to the township. Hunter and I, again, coming from the private sector, we have had we've had to meet budgets. I personally, I'm a controller. So, talking about economic times, 2 years ago, most of my revenue comes in from 2 streams. And one of those streams is ad revenue. And basically, my revenue got cut by 15%. And what was I going to do? It's more of a daily task of coming in and saying, let me look at my controllable expenses, let me look at my non-controllable expenses, and figuring out how you can reduce those without necessarily, cutting the programs that are here. So, cutting costs is absolutely something that we're looking to do. And I'll defer to Hunter if he has any more comments on that.
Well, I think Denice said it well, and the thing that we here in West Deptford can't forget is that the Democrats have been in power for 20 years, and for a long time they did a lot of very good things at a very affordable tax rate. It's been in recent years that we've seen taxes rise, and that does coincide with a loss of ratables in town. And the one thing Denice and I have pledged to do, and we're going to make a commitment, is to increase our focus on economic developments and look for every last ounce of commercial and industrial ratable we can bring to town to get us back to that place where we were 5-10 years ago, where the taxes weren't affordable here in West Deptford.
So could I'm sorry.
Well, one other thing is, I think some of the change we've already talked about were the benefits. One of the things that Hunter and I have pledged to stop is the benefits for the part-time elected officials. So I definitely think that's one area that, sets us apart. But, I think if you've read our literature, I think we have pointed out, some of those items that kind of stand from us. And I think the other thing that we've talked about is we're proposing that we reduce the salaries of the Township Committee by 50%. And most of you may say that's not a lot, but again, the position is about leadership, right? And if we're asking everybody else to tighten the belt, we should be tightening the belt as well. So we're hoping that that sort of tone of leadership is going to set throughout and hopefully marks a new era within the committee.
Denice and I have started with a plan, and that starts with economic development, attracting business to West Deptford, growing our base, our tax base with commercial and industrial raters. And the one thing you're going to hear over and over and over again, the Kintzing and Denice camp is just that, an increased focus in economic development.
I know your question was more posed at what are we going to do. Let's talk about what we've done. So we've Oprah'd a lot of documents that aren't, that we could get our hands on, and I've gone through the budget line by line. I know Hunter himself has reached out to the owners of the Huntsman site and said, what's going on? What have you been hearing? What do you think is the best, business to come in, and how can this be more attractive? We've been, talking with, whoever we can about going door to door, saying, what are the real issues that you have, and are you comfortable with the services that you're providing? So, you are correct. We're in a tough situation because if elected, we'll take seat in January, and shortly after there, we need to have a budget. But it's holding true to that and making sure we're staying in touch with the taxpayers. Where do they see the future going? And that means that at some of the basic levels, do you like your trash service? Making sure we look at those types of things. And as Hunter said, we've been hitting every angle, we've been learning, and hopefully you'll see that continue. So, to answer your point, it is a tough time. But, we've been working hard, to date to try and make sure that if we do get elected, we can hit the ground running. So my background is in finance. I've been a finance professional for about 15 years now, and all that comes with that. So that means daily looking at the budget and making sure that we're staying in line. I also think that another thing that helps is being a leader. I've been a part of a senior management team now for 6 years, and that means everything that you need to do. So, and in a small company that is part of a larger division, you have to wear many hats, and you need to be adaptable to whatever comes your way. So I think it's really my professional experience in the finance world that really makes me, qualified. But also, I'm a resident and I'm a mother of 4. So, and I do have to pay for college education. And I am, concerned about the school board budget. And I know it probably better than anybody in this room, and I don't mean to insult anyone, but Rob was right on point. A lot of it does go to special ed. But, so I think it's a little bit of both. It's my professional experience, but also the fact that I am a mom and a resident of West Deptford.
As far as my background goes, I'm an attorney. I went to 3 years of law school where they kind of train your mind to think a little differently, to problem solve, to take an issue and view it from all sides, so you're making the best decision. I have 7 or 8 years now of experience in private practice. I largely consider myself a real estate attorney. I focus on land use development. I've also represented municipalities and planning boards here in New Jersey. I'm very well versed in municipal land use law, as well as the New Jersey statutes governing municipal government. I know how municipal government works. I know how land use development works. And the 2 key issues we need on Township committee.